This land is mine. God gave this land to me. This brave and ancient land to me. And when the morning sun reveals her hills and plains, then I see a land where children can run free. So take my hand and walk this land with me. And walk this lovely land with me. Though I'm just a man, when you are by my side, with the help of God, I know I can be strong. Just a man, when you are by my side, with the help of God, I know I can be strong to make this land our home. If I must make this land our own until I die. This land is
They've got it.
They've got it right by...
And they're the ones putting out pornographic stuff and putting out everything.
I don't know why they do.
You see, the Bible makes a distinction, Mr. President, between two groups of Jews. One is called the synagogue of Satan.
The Bible says there are two different kinds.
There are two different kinds. There are those people, in the latter days, it's called the remnant of God's people, which will be Jewish people. And then there's the synagogue of Satan. And nearly all of your religious deceptions in the latter days, what the Bible speaks, latter days can be 1,000 years, what they call the synagogue of Satan. In other words, they are energized by a supernatural power called the devil. This is what the Bible teaches, whether you believe it or don't believe it. This is the biblical teaching, and this is what I believe. And I believe that they have a strange brilliance about them.
Oh,
They have a,
because they're smart.
they're smart, and they are energized, in my judgment, by a supernatural power.
Well, also, they do something else, but they're not only smart, but they're together.
And you see, of course Hitler didn't, they had a stranglehold on Germany, on the banking of Germany, on everything in Germany. And the media, they had the whole thing, you see. But he went about it wrong. But this stranglehold has got to be broken, or this country is going to go down the drain.
You believe that?
Yes, sir.
Boy, I can't ever say it, but I believe it.
Hast du etwas Zeit für mich, dann singe ich ein Lied für dich von 99 Luftballons auf ihrem Weg zum Horizont. Denkst du vielleicht grad an mich, dann singe ich ein Lied für dich von 99 Luftballons und dass sowas von sowas kommt. Auf ihrem Weg zum Horizont geht man für UFOs aus dem All. Darum schickte ein General eine Fliegerstaffel hinterher, Alarm zu geben, wenn's so wär. Dabei war dort am Horizont 99 Luftballons. 99 Luftballons. 99 Düsenflieger, jeder war ein großer Krieger, hielten sich für Captain Kirk. Das gab ein großes Feuerwerk. Die Nachbarn haben nichts gerafft und fühlten sich gleich angemacht. Dabei schoss man am Horizont auf 99 Luftballons. 99 Luftballons. ließen keinen Platz für Sieger. Kriegsminister gibt's nicht mehr und auch keine Düsenflieger. Heute zieh ich meine Runden, ich seh die Welt in Trümmern liegen. Hab nen Luftballon gefunden, ich denk an dich und lass ihn fliegen.
Hello, everybody. Welcome. We are gathered here this evening to mark a momentous date in history. Thank you for joining me on this. But before we get started, let me remind you all to smash that like button. Make sure you're subscribed. And if you're feeling generous, let me direct you over onto buymeacoffee.com/mooseheaven. With that out of the way, there are certain dates in history that will go down in infamy. There are certain events that define a generation. There's an entire body demographic of people who remember where they were when Stanley Kubrick landed on the moon. They can tell you all about it and they'd love to. Likewise, people old enough remember when that teacher on the Challenger went boom? That's another one. Oh, and then the other thing, that 9/11 one. People remember where they were when those things happened. They were momentous, defining things that went beyond a singular individual experience and went to a collective, conscious event where we all say we knew where we were when it happened. And likewise, we're going to talk about another one of those momentous occasions. Yes, where were you on October 15th, 2009, when Balloon Boy took flight? I want to hear your stories. Where were you when it happened? I was watching the news. I was gripped to the Saga. A mere few years removed from 9/11, I thought, could this be Al Qaeda? Could Osama bin Laden be launching balloons? But I was a dumb child, and none of that really happened. But no, I do remember where I was, and I did watch it on TV. And then I kind of, like everybody else, quickly tucked it away into that part of my brain that just forgets about that excess knowledge of things that I don't really need to remember into my adulthood. But let us relive where we were in 2009 when this happened. Hold on, let me get it ready. I should have been more ready. I'm sorry about the sound.
Not really.
Yeah.
I mean, there wouldn't be any concern.
Here, I will back it up. I will back it up.
We are looking at live pictures right now, and there is a gentleman that is chasing the balloon. It is coming down. It has just landed, Jeff.
Oh, wow.
This is phenomenal news. We've been watching this play out.
I'm watching it. I see it.
Unbelievable. So it looks like a relatively gentle landing for what we've been watching, this massive flying saucer flying through the air. There's a sheriff's officer there right now. They have brought this flying apparatus down. We are watching live pictures. There's an ambulance nearby. Now is the tricky part, and they're going to be going in to see how this 6-year-old boy is doing. He has been up flying in the air for more than an hour and a half at this point. Officials are there. We've got emergency and rescue crews standing nearby. They're carefully waiting before they approach the balloon. What kind of concerns would they have about, getting right up toward that balloon? Any initial concerns, Jeff?
I mean, I'm just looking at this like you are.
In terms of the
there were
helium
reports.
or anything like that? I'm just curious if...
No, not really.
Yeah.
I mean, there wouldn't be any concern. I mean,
Yeah.
I guess the big question is the kid in there?
Right, exactly, because we did hear some reports earlier that he possibly may have fallen out right after the balloon
Right, the way the
took off.
balloon was listing and tilting a little bit as it was flying, you gotta wonder if there was any weight in there.
Right, just to bring our viewers up to speed, if you've been following this back and forth, the balloon that has been flying over Colorado toward Kansas has finally come down. A relatively gentle and safe landing. Now they are securing this balloon to make sure it does not go up again, but they're not racing to the base of the balloon to try and open it. So that leaves me to wonder why they're not doing that. And obviously we can only speculate.
We can only speculate. But we won't have to speculate for long because we're gonna dig into this one. Do you remember where you were when Balloon Boy took to the skies October 15th, 2009, when a homemade helium balloon shaped like a UFO for almost 2 hours flew at an altitude of almost 7,000 feet, supposedly carrying a 6-year-old boy. At least that was what we were told. That was what we were glued to our screens to watch, to witness. What happened? Falcon Heaney, this 6-year-old boy, had climbed aboard this balloon. It had become untethered, and he was flying over Colorado. The National Guard brought in helicopters. Shit was going wild. Cats and dogs were living together. It was mass hysteria, and everybody was glued to their TVs wondering what's gonna happen to Balloon Boy. But when the balloon came down, as you saw with your own eyes just then, there was no boy. That's because Falcon Heaney was later found an hour later, hiding in the attic. Let us watch. And I will turn the sound on this time. Sorry, there's a lot of buttons to push.
I was in the attic and he scared me because he yelled at me. That's why I went in the attic. I heard Shaggy. I didn't want to come out really soon or else he would yell at me and I'd probably get in trouble.
I yelled at him for going inside it. It's potentially dangerous if you get inside and the electricity comes on.
He went up to me and went over like this. I'm going to go sneak inside, and then he went inside.
So he said he's going to sneak inside. Okay. Told Bradford he's going to sneak inside. I'm really sorry I yelled at him. Yeah.
We got him.
Scared the heck out of us. We were on the sofa, and Mayumi screamed, and he came out of somewhere. Where'd you come out of? Hello?
The attic.
The attic. What did you think when the balloon came down and your son wasn't in it? That tore me apart. The only thing I could think of was that he had fallen out. And so I had to retract back in my mind, did he fall out? Or, how did it feel to see my son again? This is a relief. We're gonna watch him a lot closer.
So after 2 hours of the National Guard being called out, The FAA is involved. Shit's going wild. Everybody's looking for this 6-year-old in this balloon, and then all of a sudden, after a tearful reunion, he's reunited with his family after having the reasonable excuse of hiding in the attic because his father was yelling at him. Now, we'll get to the father. Trust me, he's the main character in this entire story. Balloon Boy is tertiary. He's secondary to this entire story. But questions arose within the media.
A 6-year-old boy feared to have floated away in a homemade helium balloon in Colorado has been found alive.
Falcon Heaney was discovered hiding in a box at his family home in Colorado.
The world watched as the silver flying saucer-shaped balloon spun across the skies of Colorado. It was initially thought 6-year-old Falcon Heaney was on board for the dramatic ride. The craft was homemade in his family's backyard. His brothers had said they saw him climb on board before it lifted off and floated away. It sped through the skies at altitudes of up to 2,000 metres and at some points hurtled back towards the ground. Heart-stopping images showed the craft soaring through the air. At one point, it was clocked at 40 kilometres an hour before touching down near Colorado Springs.
5, 4, 3. They're trying to grab the balloon on the ground.
Rescuers were on hand to grab the balloon as it deflated and touched down in the field.
As you can see, ambulance on the scene as well as all types of law enforcement vehicles.
Local police initially believed the boy and his father, Richard Heaney, were working on the craft when the boy climbed into a plywood enclosed structure beneath the balloon, which was hovering above the ground, but it slipped its rope tethers.
There's nobody on the balloon.
The 6-year-old was found safe at home, hiding in a box in the garage attic. The local sheriff had turned to reporters during a news conference and confirmed Falcon had been found at the house.
To confirm that he was there and he was alive and he was okay. So, yeah, we'll be getting that information, but I don't have any more right now.
Sheriff, what was the box? In the attic or in the garage?
That's what I'm told. It was an attic in the garage.
Attic in the garage?
Right, yeah.
How do you get up there?
I'm sorry?
How do you get up there?
I don't know. I've told you everything I know, folks.
An officer at the scene saw the boy and said he was fine, having apparently spent the entire time in the attic. The family has a background in television, and there are reports Falcon's 2 brothers may have been on the roof videoing the balloon as he climbed in. Images of the 3 brothers have surfaced on YouTube.
Oh, we'll get to this.
Richard and Mayumi Heaney were criticised for their parenting style when they took part in the reality TV show Wife Swap, where the mother of one family spends time with another family and makes them play by her rules. Ian Kane, Sky News.
Americans were mesmerized today by an incredible drama playing out on live television. A homemade helium mylar balloon believed to be carrying a 6-year-old boy was racing out of control across the skies of Colorado. The police said the boy had climbed into a box attached to the bottom of the balloon at his home in Fort Collins, and somehow it took off. After a nail-biting 2 hours, the balloon landed near Denver. But there was no box and no child, and a search began. Then late today, a surprise ending to this story. The boy was found safe, hiding at home. Ben Tracy has been following this incredible story from the very beginning. And Ben, what a relief, but still an awful lot of unanswered questions tonight.
Yeah, Katie, of course, the good news is the boy is home safe, but the big question now is how did this bizarre scene unfold over the course of 2 hours when now we know the little boy was home the entire time?
Going at about 8 knots.
It looked like a flying saucer cutting through the air above Fort Collins, Colorado. Believed to be inside 6-year-old Falcon Heaney, moving at up to 25 miles per hour and soaring to at least 1,200 feet above ground. Those watching prepared for the worst.
Well, the fear is that you're running out of time.
As the drama played out on live TV,
this thing has dropped down now to 500 feet, which would mean
5, 4, 3.
Yet when the balloon made a miraculously gentle landing in a dirt field nearly 40 miles outside of Denver,
It's been a safe landing.
there was no 6-year-old to be found. At first, it was believed the boy was never in the balloon, but then the sheriff's department revealed that Falcon Heaney apparently climbed into a box attached to the balloon. But that box was not seen in any of the video and not there when the balloon landed. The ordeal began when Richard Heaney, the boy's dad, was reportedly testing his weather balloon in the backyard. Falcon's brother told officials he saw the boy get inside and float away.
2 of the boys were up on the roof of the house with a camera saying something about their brother having left on, I thought it was an airplane.
But as it turns out, the little boy was hiding in the garage the whole time.
That's what I told, it was an attic in the garage.
The Heaneys are no stranger to the spotlight, recently appearing on their reality show Wife Swap.
I've been listening to your nagging, you're moaning, you're groaning all day long.
Richard Heaney is a well-known weather chaser who says he believes in extraterrestrials.
No, am I nuts? Am I crazy?
And the boys have several videos on YouTube. So where is Falcon Heaney? Authorities searched the family home and their Fort Collins neighborhood this afternoon. Obviously, we now know Falcon Heaney is at home, and it's a good thing they found him when they did, because they had planned to launch helicopters this evening with night vision to continue the search. So, Katie, a lot of relief there in Fort Collins, but my guess is that little boy is heading for a rather lengthy timeout.
I bet you're right. Ben Tracy, very strange story indeed. Thank you, Ben.
Very strange story indeed. I would agree, that's why we're covering it 14 years later, because that's pretty much, I think, where most people kind of know the Balloon Boy story. They know that there was a balloon and there wasn't a boy in the balloon, and that's about where the story ends, I think, for most people. But as a few of you have pointed out, the father, Richard Heaney, he's an interesting cat. As we've already gone over, what hasn't Richard Heaney done? Oh my God, he's a storm chaser, he's a UFO enthusiast. Earlier that year, he was already under investigation for domestic abuse when his wife, Mayumi, who's Japanese, by the way, that's gonna be an important factor in this entire narrative. When his wife, Mayumi, had bruises on her face, yeah, launched a domestic abuse investigation earlier in the year. But Richard Heaney, nevertheless, adding to his long list of other credentials, he's an inventor. Did you know he's an inventor? Yes. Let's check out one of his inventions.
Hi, I'm inventor Richard Heaney, and boy, do I love my truck! That's why I would never permanently mount toolboxes or a lumber rack on the back. No! I'm gonna use my pickup to pick up hot chicks! That's why I invented the all-new Heaney Duty Truck Transformer! Yes! 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 Oh, yes!
I did not edit this in
The Heaney
any
Duty
way.
is the very first pickup truck robot. The Heaney Duty has a lifting capacity of over 2,400 pounds. Imagine, load and go!
Load and go, people! Not edited in any
With the Heaney
way.
Duty Truck Transformer, you do not need a loading dock. Check it out! The Heaney Duty Truck Transformer can even be used as scaffolding. Power scaffolding! Technically, Zoomer is fast. Zoomer technology. The Heaney Duty lumber ladder rack has two 1,500-pound
Zoomer
cables
technology?
on the end of
Did you
these.
say
Now
Zoomer
check this out.
technology?
You want to load and go? You pull your pin, you flip it into place, park your pin back into position, and Zoomer! Zoomer! The Zoomer panels quickly detach from the side of the Heaney Duty.
Wait,
Look at
hold
this.
on. Is it called that because Gen Z's lazy and they need something to help them lift things onto the bed of a truck?
Zoomer! Zoomer! That is Zoomer technology.
That's Zoomer technology.
Also,
that's Zoomer technology for you.
Toolbox locks.
More effort or less effort.
Also convert
more
into
reward.
table or even
Do
scaffolding.
nothing,
Even
get
seats.
something. That's
It's
Zoomer
picket
for
time!
ya.
Yeah! The Zoomer panels actually interlock in the center to make a table. The interlocking legs can actually be adjusted for different heights. Also, we have made some benches with our extra Zoomer panels. Baby, you gotta get this! Oh yeah!
Gotta get those Zoomer panels.
The heavy-duty truck transformer quickly transforms itself into 4 workstations. Look at this. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now I can access my tools from all points. Look at the room inside there. Now I got myself a great, convenient place to look at plans. I can start working on tools.
He can snort cocaine.
The lightweight tailgate snaps right into place. It's that easy. Oh, yeah! Yeah! Yeah!
I mean, this seems like a very reasonable individual. Why would anybody ever doubt that this man's story?
Order your heavy-duty truck transformer at heavyduty.com.
Media attention. No. He is a weather balloon advocate. Enthusiast? Yeah, enthusiast. We'll go with that one. He's a storm chaser, and he was already criticized for bringing his children near tornadoes before any of this happened. So, all right. I have searched the interwebs. I've done my digging. I know that there is a longer version to this. I have seen it. I have seen it in other videos, but I have not been able to find the raw, uncut version of this. I have a bounty for it. If somebody can find me the raw, uncut, extra footage director's cut version of the Balloon Boy takeoff, I don't know, I'll give you a sticker. Nevertheless, I'm going to show you the edited version of the Balloon Boy takeoff, and I will describe to you what I have seen in the full version. Okay, so this is Richard Heaney's experimental weather balloon that he's been keeping in his backyard. We'll kind of get to the history of the balloon and wife swap and that in a future video. But nevertheless, this is the edited down version. There is a longer version.
Are you going to fly now?
Oh. Okay, hold on, Brad. Cut. Record.
Yeah.
Here we go. 3, 2, 1.
Whoa!
Oh my God. Okay. Are you in? Taylor! You didn't put the tether down! Spider-Man!
All right, let me try and explain what you're seeing here. Because I understand it's mass hysteria going on. So, Richard Heaney has this experimental weather balloon. It's tethered down, okay? Now he is releasing the balloon, and it is here that he notices that the tether isn't tied down. He starts screaming, "Tether, tether!" like a normal, rational human being would. And then he starts, as a rational, decent human being would, he starts screaming at Mayumi, his wife. Mayumi! That's exactly like how he says it, too. Mayumi! Like he's charging up in an anime movie, or like an anime OVA from the 90s. And she's like running around with her hands up, right? That's where the video cuts off on this one, right? Okay, there's an extra little bit. The other kids, the not Falcons, because this is like the only time that they're relevant in this story. One of them, I think he's behind the camera, because I don't know who's behind the camera when this happened. Whoever's behind the camera, the other not Falcon he says to the dad, he says, "Dad, Falcon was in there." And then Richard Heaney says, "No, he wasn't." And then the kid goes, yeah, he was. And then they start freaking out, and then Naomi's like looking for him. "Oh my God, where's Falcon?" So that's the part you didn't see, okay? And trust me when I say that I didn't exaggerate the delivery of any of those words that you heard. Pretty much verbatim how they were spoken. So this is the video that Richard Heaney offers to the media as evidence that he's not lying, okay? They thought Falcon was in the balloon. It looked like it was an honest mistake. They really believed he was in the balloon, and they panicked and they freaked out and they called the media. That's a whole other side that other people on the internet have covered. I will let them cover that. We're here to talk about the goofy, weird aspects and to laugh at these people. What? On that note, later that evening, because, obviously, people had questions. The media, the public. People had been glued to their TV sets for 2 hours of their time, which in 2009 time, we're talking, that's a lot of time. They're glued to their TVs, wondering about if this 6-year-old is still alive, and then he's in the attic. The dad's a weirdo. He's on wife swap. He's letting his kids out by tornadoes. He's got a UFO fetish. He's got a subservient Japanese wife. So obviously people had questions, and to dissuade any questions of that this might have been perpetrated as a hoax, the Heaneys went on Wolf Blitzer on CNN later that evening to explain their side of the story. And it was there the young Falcon said something questionable that then raised more doubts and questions about the authenticity of this event, whether or not it was perpetrated as a hoax or not. So let us watch as the world did in 2009, Wolf Blitzer.
We had believed 100% that he was on board.
And Falcon was really in the garage this whole time. I don't know if Falcon can hear me, but was he, because I know at some point he fell asleep in that garage, but he was hiding out because he thought you were going to punish him for something that happened earlier in the day. Did he hear anything? Did he hear you screaming out, "Falcon, Falcon"?
He's asking Falcon, did you hear us calling your name at any time? You did?
You did?
Why didn't you come out?
You guys said that we did this for the show.
Uh-oh, SpaghettiOs. Let's hear that again. What?
You guys said that we did this for the show.
Yeah.
No.
You didn't come out?
No.
I heard what he said, but I'm sure not. It wasn't really clear. What was his reasoning why he heard you screaming "Falcon, Falcon," and I'm sure he heard his mom screaming "Falcon, Falcon." But why didn't he come out of the garage at that point?
Well, whenever he whenever we tell him things like, it's a bad thing to do, he does go and hide. He cowls down. And like if we go to the store and he wants to buy some candy or something, I have to tell him no. So he's always behind. I mean, the other boys are always telling him, hurry, Falcon, hurry. So he does...
Wait, hold up. Okay.
He does tend to do that.
What? Why did your kid just say that we did this for the show? Oh, I don't know. He's kind of slow. Like, sometimes he's trying to, get candy, and other kids are like, hurry up, Falcon,
Did you think, Mayumi, did you think it was possible that the Falcon was just hiding out this time and was not necessarily on board that balloon?
We searched any place, even the small drawers, and possibly Falcon can fit it in any part of the house, and we couldn't find him. Also, we searched our kids' friends' houses. He might be visiting. We went through possible any places. So
live on Wolf Blitzer, Young Falcon says we did it for the show. What does that mean? Uh-oh, SpaghettiOs. The innocence of children, right? Uh-oh. So an already questioning public already had more questions. That's the part everybody kind of remembers. Hey, let's see what Richard's response was when they came back from commercial. Let's see what his response was. He even had the ums.
Him a lot of questions.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So
guys.
somebody had asked him that question.
Hang on. I'm really fucking up with the audio tonight. I apologize. Moose Heaven, because of this right here, because of this, I have to do a lot of audio switching. I apologize. Guys, it's been a while. I'll start over. My apologies.
Richard Haney, the father of little Falcon. Richard, earlier in the show, I asked you to relay the question to Falcon. He was hiding in the garage for about 4 hours, and I asked you to ask him why didn't he come out after he heard you and his mom and everybody else screaming for Falcon. And you said to him, Falcon, why didn't you come out? And Falcon said, you guys said that, we did this for the show. And you said, what did he mean, we did this for the show?
I had no idea. I think he was talking about the media. Had been asking him a lot of questions. So somebody had asked him that question earlier.
You want to ask him now? I don't know if he can hear me. What he meant by what he said, we did this for the show? You want to ask Falcon?
Falcon, they want to know. They want to know why you were in the attic, okay, for so long.
That's not what he asked.
And why you say it again.
Why he said, at least he said we did this for the show in explaining why he didn't come out of the attic.
Yeah, let me interrupt this real quick because I think I can see the direction you guys are hedging on this, because earlier you had asked the police officers some questions. The media out front, we weren't even going to do this interview. And I'm kind of appalled after all of the feelings that I went through, up and down, that you guys are trying to suggest something else, okay? I'm really appalled because they said out in front that this would be the end and I wouldn't have to be bothered for the rest of the week with any shows or anything. So we said, okay, fine, we'll do this. So I'm kind of appalled that you guys would say something like that. You know, it's...
Well, we're not asking anything unusual. You were asked earlier about if this was a publicity stunt. You say it wasn't. The police say it wasn't. The rescue operation say it wasn't. The only thing I just wanted to clarify why Falcon had said earlier we did this for the show, and I just wanted to clarify. I didn't understand what he was referring to.
Well, you know, we were on Y-Swap a couple of times, so the camera crews out there, I would imagine, they'd ask him a couple of questions in reference to this, and I believe, you know, he meant something to do with that.
Right, and he's nodding his head for that. I don't want you to misunderstand. Just asking the question doesn't mean, Richard, that we're suggesting anything untoward or anything like that. We're just thrilled that Falcon is alive and well and your family is together. We watched all of this play out during the course of several hours, and I got to tell you personally, as a reporter who reported that he was alive and well, it was a thrilling moment for me because, you know, I was really, really worried that I would have to report something very, very different, and I was just grateful that he is just fine. You have a beautiful family there. You spent an hour talking about it with us and with the entire country. Everyone was engrossed. Everyone was watching, and we want to wish you and your wife and the 3 boys only the best. Thanks very much for joining us. That's it for us.
So naturally, after that Wolf Blitzer interview later that evening, people had questions. People had questions about the authenticity of, people are already questioning, and now they were pretty sure that this was all a hoax, and at that point, the media pretty much made up their mind about Richard Heaney and Balloon Boy.
This image of a flying saucer-shaped balloon thought to have been carrying a 6-year-old boy over the skies of Colorado captivated the nation for hours Thursday. But now questions have been raised over whether the whole incident was actually a calculated hoax. After the balloon came down with no one in it, Falcon Heaney was found hiding in a cardboard box in the family garage. The boy's brother told his father that he saw Falcon climb into the balloon before it took off. Falcon said he was scared after being scolded by his father, Richard, over playing in the balloon.
I was in the attic, and he scared me because he yelled at me. That's why I went in the attic. I heard Shaddy. I didn't want to come out really soon, or else he would yell at me and I'd probably get in trouble.
I'm really sorry I yelled at him.
It's a reasonable excuse, right?
Scared the heck out of us.
During a later interview
It's
with
really
CNN,
interesting
Falcon...
that the first thing that the kid went to, the first excuse that they went with the media was, I was hiding because my dad would abuse me.
was asked by his father why he didn't come out of the box when he heard his name called. He told his father that you had said we did this for a show. Heaney says he doesn't know what his son meant by the comment and adds that he's appalled that anyone would suggest the incident was anything other than what it appeared. A local sheriff says there's no evidence of a hoax, but investigators will meet Friday to determine if further investigation is needed. The Heaney family appeared twice on the ABC reality show Wife Swap. The family has an interest in science, and Heaney says he's been working with a low-altitude vehicle that could be used to hover over traffic, but it was not supposed to go higher than 20 feet. Brian Thomas, The Associated Press.
What a day it was yesterday. I don't know about you. I was glued to the TV set watching this balloon, thinking a 6-year-old boy was inside.
I don't know. I'm so cynical. I just wasn't quite buying the whole thing.
Well, it occurred to me too, and a lot of other people, especially because then that little boy said, Daddy, I thought we were doing this for a show.
Well, last night on Larry King.
And they had been on a reality show.
Right, and here's this video this is the new video of the balloon just taking off. And then this reaction is kind of curious. Okay. We'll find out more in just a little bit. Now for the latest details on 6-year-old Falcon Heaney and his family, here's Early Show national correspondent Hattie Kaufman in Fort Collins, Colorado with more. Good morning.
Good morning, Harry. Behind me is the Colorado home where this odyssey began. It was in that backyard that Dad, Rick Heaney, built his own helium balloon, and that new video shows that both mom and dad were in the backyard when the balloon came loose, and they say they thought 6-year-old Falcon was inside.
Whoa!
This is new video this morning of the saucer-shaped balloon taking off. Just the thought a 6-year-old could be floating in it had the world on edge.
We just hope for a non-tragic ending.
11:38 a.m. The balloon with a basket underneath lifts off. For 2 hours, strong winds carry it over major highways and farmlands, 50 miles in all.
A sibling saw the boy climb into the basket before the balloon took off.
What Falcon Heaney supposedly climbed into was a homemade balloon built by his dad, an eccentric scientist known for chasing storms and bringing the kids along. He also made his entire family stars on the reality show Wife Swap.
Mayumi doesn't jackhammer me. She doesn't go.
None of that seemed to matter as the balloon descended.
Yeah, he didn't clear those power lines by much.
And the drama intensified.
If you are predisposed to do so and you want to say a little prayer, you might want to do so now.
Look at this. Would you look at this?
5, 4, 3. He just touched the ground.
What we hope is we're about to see a little kid walk out of there looking around going, what in the world? Where is my mommy?
Then the mystery deepened.
The compartment is empty.
There's no child in this balloon. The sheriff's department is in pretty much disbelief.
I'm still feeling a sense of dread because
Concern heightened by this photo showing what appeared to be a basket falling.
there is a peg from the bottom of that balloon, and there's nothing attached to it.
So where was Falcon Heaney?
maybe he's hiding under his bed so that his father wouldn't be upset that you let his balloon fly away.
A better case would be that he's hiding under, in the basement back of the house.
In the end, that's pretty much what happened.
He's located, he's alive, he's at the house.
Through 2 hours that transfixed a nation, 6-year-old Falcon experienced none of this life or death drama.
How to feel to see my son again? This is a relief.
But then came this unusual answer on a live television interview.
You guys said that we did this for the show.
The boy's father adamantly denies he was looking for publicity.
That's horrible. I mean, after the crap we just went through.
We should point out that the county sheriff's department, which coordinated the rescue effort, says they have no evidence that it's a hoax. However, it is certainly expensive. Chasing that balloon involved up to 100 police officers and other personnel, some military helicopters, and involved closing part of the air traffic at Denver International Airport.
So even after all of this, the media begins to immediately turn on Richard Heaney because of all of what you've just seen, basically. And I think you can tell that immediately the media becomes skeptical of this entire story and Richard Heaney and his narrative and his credibility and his background. I think that's fair to say. Nevertheless, Richard Heaney maintains his innocence. He relents. Nevertheless, he persisted that it was not a hoax. What you saw was real. There was no hoaxery, okay? And he went and they didn't stop. They didn't stop going and talking to the media, trying to tell their side of things. And also Falcon threw up on live air.
First of all, let's clarify, he's 6. And I don't know that he really understood, the question he was being answered. He did answer other questions kind of on the same level. But after the initial interview with all the people out in front, I told everybody, my kids and my wife, to come inside. And I looked behind me, they weren't there. So then I go over to open the garage, and Falcon's climbing up in the joist in the attic space. And Rapper's there. So then I looked to the right, and there was like 30 press people there. And anyway, somebody had asked him if they could he would show them how he got in the attic. So he was obliging them. And one of the guys told me it was for some One of the guys told me it was for some TV show. So that's what he was referring to. That's what he was referring to when...
Nice. Let's back that up. Let's see that again.
It was for some TV show. So that's what he was referring to.
Nice.
That's what he was referring to when he made that statement.
And I know I want to point out that the sheriff's office said last night that they believe your account of what happened, but they do want to question you a little bit more today, Richard, as well. And I'm sure some of the questions will be hard for you to deal with. So let me just ask you right now, just put it out there and get your honest answer. Was this a hoax or a publicity stunt?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. And now I'm starting to get a little ticked off because I'm repetitively getting asked this in the last couple of interviews. And I mean, what have I got to gain out of this? And I'm not selling anything. I'm not advertising anything. My family and I, we do this all the time.
Hold up, sir. You're advertising your Zoomer technology. We saw that.
You know, we're always doing some kind of scientific research. We're always building something together. I teach my kids how to shoot cameras.
Scientific research, you know, into Zoomer technology to help Zoomers, you know, who are very weak and have no muscle strength, lift heavy things, you know. Important stuff. UFOs. So, again, Richard Heaney persisted. He kept at the media, but he could see that the media was turning on him, so he approached them, but he requested that they put their questions in a box.
Okay, I've got people emailing me, calling me. They've got a lot of questions. And I don't know how to, quite frankly, answer any of them other than I've got a box. And so later on tonight, 7:30, I want to meet you guys again. I can look these questions over and then I can answer them, okay? So I'm going to place the box up front. Please write your questions down because I've got stuff. Friends are telling me they're saying this and that. I have no idea what the news is saying. I'm not, I don't have a cable, so, okay?
He doesn't have a cable.
No, not at all. I want them in print.
Could you just say once and for all?
He does not have a cable, but he has a box. So all of this is very rational behavior, right? But the media is not buying it. And more importantly, police aren't buying this either. A lot of manpower went into searching for this kid who was supposedly in this balloon. They called out the National Guard. There was a Black Hawk helicopter involved. A lot of money, a lot of resources. That Black Hawk helicopter could have been saving lives. So, naturally, it wasn't just the media who was beginning to question the Heanies and their story, and it wasn't just the public who was beginning to question the Heanies and their story. It was law enforcement who was beginning to question the Heanies and their story, and that's where this kicks off.
This myself.
The video was dramatic.
Going at about 8 knots.
The story incredible.
He may get snagged in some power lines.
A little boy caught in a runaway balloon.
He just touched the ground.
Even when it turned out Falcon Heaney was never airborne and was hiding at home all that time,
I was planning to find saucer.
Sheriffs were more relieved than skeptical.
We believe at this time that it's a real event.
Falcon's dad, Richard, did indeed demonstrate emotion in this home video of the balloon coming loose. The question is, was it real or playing to the camera? The unraveling of the hoax came during an unscripted moment. In a live television interview, Falcon was asked why he hid when everyone was searching for him.
We did this for the show.
It became very clear to us at that point that they were lying. You picked up on it, we picked up on it.
Getting a TV show for his family has been Richard Heaney's goal.
Am I nuts? Am I crazy?
They appeared on the reality show Wife Swap, and he wanted more. A former research assistant told the website Gawker it was all Richard thought about.
It was really about, hey, if we did this right, it'd be on every major news network around the world.
Last night, police seized evidence from the Heaney home. And of the 4 charges the department hopes to file over the next few days, 2 are Class 4 felonies, which carry up to 6 years of jail time and $500,000 in fines. Today, the sheriff said the Heaneys met in Hollywood acting school. Their emotions over the last few days,
I'm really sorry I yelled at him.
were just an act.
So needless to say, they put on a very good show for us, and we bought it.
Officials are also considering fining the Heaneys for the tens of thousands of dollars it cost to pursue the runaway balloon. And the FAA may fine them because it invaded restricted airspace near Denver International Airport. It could all add up to more of a financial reality than Mr. Heaney expected. Russ?
Hattie Kaufman in Fort Collins, Colorado. Thank you very much. The rogue balloon episode raises questions as well for the news media. For perspective on that, we are joined by Robert Thompson, professor of television and popular culture at Syracuse University. Professor,
let's hear what Professor Thompson has to say.
Before we talk about the news media, let's talk about Richard Heaney. From your experience, what would make someone go to the extent that he did to be on TV?
People do it all the time. They get up in the morning so they can be seen through the window of morning news shows. They stand in line 30,000 deep to audition for American Idol. Being on TV is something that an awful lot of...
This guy is a media expert, and he sounds like this. People do it all the time, they just want to be famous, like any Yahoo just on the street just wants to be on TV and, have their voice heard.
People want to do really, really badly.
Okay, let's talk about the news media's role in this. This was all over the cable networks on Thursday when it first went down. Did the media go too far here? Should we collectively be taken to the woodshed for this?
Well, I suppose, yes, the media should be taken to the woodshed because they covered a story that wasn't the story. In the end, we watched for 3 hours a balloon floating in the sky. That's all it was. But in this age of live coverage, these stories are like catnip. News media knows that we are going to watch them. They've got the ability to show this stuff live. And before we realized this story wasn't the story at all, we'd been covering it for 4 hours.
Can you turn the clock back on this, or has the train left the station? Are we going to see more stories like this and the media reacting the same way?
If something like this happened tomorrow, I think we would cover it the exact same way. And these hoaxes are nothing new. P.T. Barnum, who we consider a great American, made a career out of presenting mermaids that were really fish sewn together with monkeys. The American people, for a long time, have actually gravitated to stories that have turned out to be complete fakes. And sometimes we like the contrivance as much as we like being convinced that it was real.
Look here, I'm from the future, and I'm here to tell you that the media has only gotten more truthful and more honest and more transparent in our bold new future together. So, law enforcement wasn't going to let up on this balloon thing. They were pretty sure that it was a hoax. The media was in on it, and they had public opinion on their side. Now, if you can't tell, I'm trying to paint this in a neutral light. Why? Because I'll let you come to your own conclusions about what did or didn't happen that day on October 15th, 2009. Whether or not Balloon Boy was an inside job or not. Because that's the question, right? Was it a hoax or not? And you're saying, Spirit, of course it was a hoax. Look at this guy, he's nuts, he's selling Zoomer technology. He's exploiting his kids. Dare I say? Look, I'm just presenting the facts here, people. And you say, of course it was a hoax. He was on wife swap, he wanted media attention, right? But what if I told you that there was a hashtag Heaney did nothing wrong movement? Huh? Have I got your attention now? Let's look at this in a different light, shall we? The media immediately turned on Richard Heaney. They and look, do you believe the media? Let me ask you that first. Do you believe the media? And the media made up their mind about the authenticity of Balloon Boy and Richard Heaney's story. Okay? Now, let me add to that cocktail of conspiracy a corrupt local law official. Oh, shit! Let's learn more. Sorry, a lot of buttons to press.
We're also discussing making a false police report and attempting to influence a public servant. 3 of those are felonies. 1 is a misdemeanor, Fred. They're looking at potentially 6 years in prison and a $500,000 fine. I don't think this is going to get as serious as everyone is thinking at this point. I see some people may be laughing. Sheriff Jim is not laughing. He's clearly embarrassed. This kid couldn't even fit in this balloon. This is ridiculous. This thing couldn't hold maybe 10 pounds. It's ridiculous. Publicity is good in Hollywood, except when you do it when you use law enforcement and lie to them to get it. And I think a restitution package deal here is what's going to end up.
Okay, so Avery, Richard brings up a good point. One of the things, they examined this aircraft or this balloon a little bit further. The little boy, 37 pounds. They did some calculations, and it just doesn't seem that it would have supported this child. But the police say that they believe this whole family may have planned this for about 2 weeks or so. So now, as local investigators meet with the FBI and the FAA later on this week, what sort of questions are going to be asked?
Well, there'll be a whole bunch of questions, Frederica. Actually, part of what the sheriff didn't talk about is they have a smoking gun here. They've got Robert Thomas, who was an assistant to Richard Heaney, and he talked about what Heaney had in mind here. But clearly, the discussion that will occur between Larimer County officials, the FBI and FAA, is that there was a substantial commitment in terms of federal law. Certainly all those people at the airport at Dallas or at Denver airport were held up. Yeah. There was substantial commitment. There were actually military helicopters involved here. So I actually think that the implication here, the federal charges, may be significantly more powerful than the Colorado state charges.
So on those local charges, we're talking about anywhere up to, if convicted of the types of charges that we already heard from the sheriff, somewhere between 2 to 5 years that could mean prison term if convicted, and there could be some fines up to $5,000. You're saying on the federal level it would be much more significant than that?
It will. There's another part of this that you can't forget, and that is Children's Services have to be knocking at the door, Frederica. I mean, I don't know what kind of parenting skills these folks have, but they use this little boy to advance this scheme here. And I think clearly Children's Services have to be involved, because obviously these adults use the children for this
and
purpose.
Richard, you agree with that possibly these children, custody, where might they end up? If indeed there are charges that are imposed against these parents, do you suppose that the children might be removed from their custody before there would be even a trial?
No, the children will not be removed before a trial, and I don't believe that the family court services are going to be involved in this at all. But Avery is right on, Fred. If they bring federal wire fraud charges, because they use the wires and phones to call into the local sheriff to report them missing, if the feds jump into this and buy that, that's 20 years just on a one wire count. So, and I'm sure there were several conversations when the fraud took place. So that's why the sheriff is saying we're having discussions with the feds.
Oh, boy.
And
All right.
very quickly, Frederick, without Wolf Blitzer, this thing would not have been busted open as it is.
That's right. The sheriff made it very clear. It was that interview, that made them raise eyebrows. That's right.
Did you know that?
The boy said, I thought this was for a show.
Anyway, so where was I? Oh, yes. So right there in public, you see them threatening the Heenies with Child Protective Services, threatening with getting the feds involved. Deep shit. Deep fucking shit over this balloon boy shit, right? So, to nobody's surprise, guess what? They filed charges.
Yeah. I'm really not here to make... Is everybody going? Everybody good? Yeah. Okay. All I'm really here to say tonight is that we have made some significant progress in this investigation. Obviously, we are conducting interviews as we speak. We have been conducting interviews since noon. We've had investigators here as well as at the House. We're in the process of drafting and completing drafting and obtaining some search warrants. And we do anticipate at some point in the future, there will be some criminal charges filed with regards to this incident. What those charges may be, as I stated yesterday, what we were looking at is Class 3 misdemeanor, which hardly seems serious enough given the circumstances. So what we're going to have to do is back up a little bit, retract, talk to the district attorney. We certainly want to talk to FAA officials and federal officials to see if perhaps there aren't additional federal charges that would be more appropriate in the circumstances than what we're able to do locally. So that said, I really don't have anything more to say. We're still working this very hard, and I anticipate that we'll be putting out some sort of a press release later today, simply announcing that we will have a press conference tomorrow.
Sure.
And hopefully by tomorrow we'll have some additional details. I don't know yet. I think we're going to have to wait and see how far this thing goes tonight and what develops.
Sure,
okay?
at this point, it's a hoax.
Let me just say that we will have a press conference tomorrow and address these issues. But as I've said, we've made progress. I think I've said enough that you guys can read what's going on here without me making anything more formal until we can get the rest of the evidence collected, perform some more tests. We have a few things to do, but I think you get the gist now. I'm just going to call it off there and say we will have a press conference tomorrow morning sometime. Okay, thank you. Yes, he is. They, both Mr. Haney and Mrs. Haney came here voluntarily. They are not under arrest. They're free to leave whenever they choose.
So, take a guess what happened. They questioned them, and under pressure, Mayumi squealed. Uh-oh. Womp womp. Mayumi admitted that they knew where Falcon was, or at least that Falcon was hiding in the house the entire time. She admitted to that. But that's me be clear in my wording. She admitted that they knew that Falcon was in the house the entire time. Uh-oh, SpaghettiOs. So, situation went from bad to worse for the Heenies. Now you saw that they were threatening them with CPS, federal charges. Behind the scenes, they were threatening with deportation because Mayumi was Japanese. A lot of shit. Like, they were pressing the Heenies hard. So, did Mayumi cave under pressure and give a false testimony, a false confession, or was it a hoax? Well, that was about to be decided by the courts.
That Colorado couple accused in a balloon hoax that captured the attention of the country is due in court this morning. Rick Salinger of our Denver station KCNC is at the courthouse in Fort Collins. Rick, good morning.
Good morning, Russ. Richard and Mayumi Heaney are expected here shortly. They are expected to plead guilty to separate charges. Their misadventure has now become a crime.
Whoa!
Oh, my God. A guilty plea would formally take the air out of Richard Heaney's claims that he really believed his 6-year-old boy was carried away. But yesterday, Heaney turned himself in, shortly after his attorney announced the father would plead to a felony charge of attempting to influence a public servant in the hoax. His wife, Mayumi, also surrendered on a misdemeanor offense of filing a false report. Because she is a Japanese citizen, she avoids the possibility of deportation if convicted of a felony. Richard Heaney could receive up to 90 days in jail, Mayumi 60 days. The issue of restitution has not yet been addressed for the cost of the massive search. Russ?
Rick, Colorado, thank you very much.
So, in the end, the Heenies end up pleading guilty to the charges filed against them. Richard Heaney pleaded guilty to a felony charge of attempting to influence a public servant, and Mayumi did not appear with him, but still faced a misdemeanor charge of false reporting to authorities. On December 23rd, 2009, a judge sentenced Richard Heaney to 90 days in jail and 100 hours of community service. He was also ordered to write a formal apology to the agencies that searched for Falcon. Mayumi Heaney was sentenced to 20 days in jail to be served through jail supervised community service for 2 days a week. So that's the end of the story, right? They pled guilty. Case closed. It was a hoax. But what if I told you, hashtag nevertheless, Heaney persisted, he did not cave. He maintained that this was not a hoax. He further went on to Larry King Live to explain why he pled guilty and why this was not a hoax. Let's listen.
I'm not disputing the fact that I did have to plead guilty. And when I say have to, I had to do it to save my family and my wife.
How so?
The threat of deportation was imminent.
Deporting who?
My wife.
To where?
Japan. We had applied years ago for some paperwork. Things got fouled up. We had to reapply. So she should have been an American citizen by now. But anyway, I can't break up my family.
The authorities, Richard, specifically cited Falcon's words as part of probable cause they had for believing you'd committed a criminal offense. He said you did it for a show.
Okay. Well, first off, let's take into consideration he's only been speaking English and just learned 3.5 years prior to that. He's 6 years old during this interview, number one. Number two, I gotten back into the house after the initial talking to the press out in front of my house. I opened the garage door to get my family back inside, away from these guys, and I looked over and there's 30 to 40 camera guys. I asked Falcon after that, I asked him, I said, why did you say that? What are you talking about? And he said a Japanese cameraman holding a giant camera asked him to show him how he got into the attic for his TV show. That's why Falcon answered that.
He didn't mean that you were doing it for a proposed TV show of your own.
Quite honestly, I'm shocked that he would make such statements. The evidence against Mr. Haney and Mayumi at this point is really overwhelming. There's no doubt in my mind that this thing was a hoax, and I really doubt that there's very few people in America who don't understand at this point that this was an elaborate hoax perpetrated by Richard and Mayumi.
And that would be the end of the story right there, right? Case closed. It went to court. They pled guilty. They told their side. Nobody believed them. The media all had made up their mind about the guilt of Richard Haney in the Balloon Boy incident. So end of story, right? And they went on into obscurity, except guess what? They didn't. 10 years later, the Heenies were still maintaining their innocence. Still.
Who could forget that homemade flying saucer in 2009?
All of America was spellbound as a balloon raced across the sky. Fears were that a little boy was trapped inside.
For 2 hours, millions of Americans watched, rooting for the survival of 6-year-old Falcon Haney.
He's in there, according to authorities.
His dad, Richard, said the family of 5 was working on the helium balloon in their backyard with home video camera rolling.
2, 1.
When it flew off with little Falcon inside.
Dad, Falcon's in there!
Where?
In that ship!
But it turned out the boy was home the whole time, hiding in the attic. Then there was this moment later that night when Falcon seemed to fess up during a live interview with CNN's Wolf Blitzer.
We did this for the show.
Man. This
Police
is like
say
the recap that they have at the
fame
beginning of the
seekers
Friday the
who staged
13th
the whole thing
movies.
in hopes of landing a reality show. And here they are today. Despite all the evidence against them, they're standing by their original story. Did you really believe that Falcon was in that balloon?
We couldn't find him, so I went into panic mode.
Balloon Boy is now a teen, and he's defending his
Now he's a
dad,
balloon
who went to jail
man.
for the elaborate hoax that captivated the nation.
It wasn't a hoax, and there's more to the story.
A lot of people had the opinion, look, this is a guy who hasn't told us the truth about this whole story. Why should anybody believe what you're saying now?
I've always been an honest guy. I've always been truthful.
These days, Falcon and his 2 brothers flip houses in Florida with their dad and play in a heavy metal band. The Balloon Boy story, what kind of effect has it had on your life, your family's lives?
I did lose some opportunities, perhaps from it, but I can't regret any of that. I've got to keep moving forward.
10 years later, they are still professing. Balloon Boy is still professing in his deep adolescent voice that no, it was not a hoax. There's more to the story. People don't know. Okay, I'm listening. I'm that kind of guy, right? I'll listen. I want to hear. What do you got? Well, first of all, I'm sure that you noticed that they pointed out that Falcon and his brothers were in a band. And I know you degenerates, I know you want to hear that band, so we're gonna hear that band. Let's hear that band. To point out that the name of this band is Falcon and the Balloon Boys. heard enough teenage garage bands in my time. I've heard enough.
You may not remember 16-year-old Falcon Heaney.
He didn't want the food.
But you'll certainly remember his unusual story.
We're going to turn to Colorado and that balloon flight that has garnered so much attention.
Authorities tracked that balloon for 2 hours, fearing that 6-year-old was inside on a misguided joyride.
Balloon boy, anybody ever throw that at you these days?
Yeah, a lot.
But you're laughing about it.
Yeah. It's just,
wait, it happens a lot?
Yeah.
What's your reaction to it?
I'm just like, ah.
Falcon says he doesn't remember much about the incident that earned him that nickname, but his dad, Richard, certainly does.
Surely you know this was not just some little story that was going to go away. You know that, right?
Afterward, after the fact, I mean, it just never dawned on me. Falcon appears and, I didn't know there was, I mean, actually, we didn't have a TV hooked up, so I had no idea what was going on.
He didn't have a cable. If you remember, if you were
10 years ago,
listening,
millions were glued to their TVs, watching as this giant balloon drifted across the Colorado sky.
A search is underway
Where were you?
for a 6-year-old boy who may or may not have
happened?
climbed into a homemade helium balloon.
It captivated cable audiences with wall-to-wall coverage. The incident, an apparent emergency. Falcon Heaney's life seemingly was in danger.
Okay, how long has the 6-year-old been missing? Just a few minutes.
His father, Richard, an inventor who built the balloon himself, sounding frantic on this 911 call.
So we are sure that he's in that.
Yeah, we looked everywhere, and then my son just said, be verified. And he said, yeah, he went inside just before it went off because we had it tethered. It wasn't supposed to take off.
3, 2, 1.
The family had been recording the saucer seen here in this home video just moments before that 911 call. The Colorado National Guard was put on alert. Helicopters at the ready. Flights around the area were diverted. After nearly 2 hours, that flying saucer started losing its lift.
5, 4, 3. They're trying to grab the balloon on the ground. He just touched the ground.
It dropped into a field some 50 miles from the Heaney's home. Rescuers scrambled to find the boy in the balloon while viewers held their breath.
I'm going to say that this kid is going to be okay. It's been a safe landing.
But as it turned out, Falcon was never in the balloon to begin with. Instead, he'd been hiding in the attic at home. Later that evening, the Heaneys talked to CNN, and when Falcon was asked why he hid, the little boy said this.
We did this for the show.
What did he mean, we did this for the show?
I have no idea.
That interview sparked speculation over whether the whole thing was an act. Authorities began calling it a hoax. At the time, saying the Heaneys, who had reportedly been shopping a reality show and had already been on ABC's Wife Swap, staged the stunt to gain fame. Richard and his wife, Mayumi, insisted it was not staged, but eventually pled guilty to related charges and served minimal jail time.
I didn't exaggerate
Mayumi did
it
initially
at all.
confess, but she says only out of fear.
Mayumi, did you actually think you could lose your kids in all this?
Yes, I did.
You thought somebody would actually take your boys away from you after all this?
And I thought I'm going to be deported. Then I won't see my husband or kids. I won't be able to see them. So my focus was a hope for family together.
The family now lives in Florida. Richard still maintains that it wasn't a hoax and says he was a victim of character assassination.
And how, after you stack all that stuff, throw in the interview that was on CNN with Wolf Blitzer, you throw all that together with a background you have, why wouldn't people go?
This is another hit.
Okay, so let's hear him. Let's hear him out, right? A media blitz, a media gangbang, if you will. A character assassination upon Richard Heaney. Let's hear his side of the story.
This is another hit piece, which I anticipate.
Here?
Yeah.
What is it going to take to change public opinion that you know is still out there about what happened 10 years ago?
What would be nice is if the media could actually go, yeah, Richard's got a point, but it's so biased, okay? The media continues on with the same narrative.
And all these years later?
Biased media.
Do you feel
I'm listening.
a sense still that you need to clear your name?
Oh, most definitely.
Still, 10 years later?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Why is that still so important to you?
I've lost many opportunities. I've lost a lot of opportunities. I've had people contact me about things I've invented, and the deal went south. And, because they find out who I am. And the thing that gets me is the media never tells my side of the story.
He says the incident has been a learning experience for his family.
How has this impacted you all?
Oh, man. It's had a very positive effect.
Positive.
Very positive, because I closed off our family to the outside world. And I just said, we're going to go to homeschooling. We're going to go do activities together. And I'm going to be the guy that spends time with them.
It sounds like you're saying this incident actually made you all a tighter-knit family.
Yes, we are definitely a tighter-knit family.
Since the incident, the Heaney boys have started a band. Their heavy metal talents on display in this 2014 music video for a song aptly titled, No Hoax.
We don't really want to associate ourselves with that. We just want to rock out.
You have any current TV or reality show opportunities in the works?
No.
Would you take an opportunity, a reality show, any TV opportunity, or would you rather get out of the spotlight at this point, given what the spotlight has done to you?
Yeah, I don't want to be in the spotlight. Okay, now I'm sitting here with you with a light in my face, because of this. People need to know this right here, this truth. But now my boys, they love playing music, they love performing, and it's a real passion with them. So if any opportunities come down the pike, I hope it's for them.
For Nightline, I'm TJ Holmes in Archer, Florida.
And this would all be the end of the story, right? That Balloon Boy went on to be in a Balloon Man rock band, rocking out to Black Sabbath in the garage. And that would be the end of the story, right? Except no, it's not the end of the story. It doesn't end there. Because on December 23rd, 2020, well into the midst of the COVID-19 pandemic, when I'm sure that they had better things to do, Governor Jared Polis pardoned the Heanies. What? Oh no. Let's find out more.
Colorado Governor Jared Polis has pardoned the so-called Balloon Boy parents. Back in 2009, Richard and Mayumi Heaney claimed their then 6-year-old son was trapped inside a helium-filled balloon. Well, that hoax attracted worldwide attention, and the two were sentenced to jail. News Nation reporter Greg Nieto spoke to Richard Heaney about the pardon he was granted.
It seems like just yesterday. Then you realize it's been 11 years.
3, 2, 1.
11 years since that silver saucer sailed high above Colorado, creating a frenzy in the air and on the ground.
It was a total shock to me today.
Today, Governor Polis pardoning Richard Heaney, the father of the boy Falcon, whom the world believed might be trapped, huddled inside.
We're going to go ahead and grant you this pardon. I'm thinking, whoa, it was amazing. But I got to say, it really made
Whoa,
dude,
pardon. Richard Heaney tells me he's happy with the pardon, but doesn't like to dwell on the October 2009 past.
It was extremely scary, beyond scary, to think that, my son was up in a balloon.
11 years later, Heaney stands by his story.
Yeah, I'm still going to maintain, and I've always said it was never, ever a hoax.
They never said he is in the balloon. They said, we don't know where he is, but this balloon took off and he may be in it.
One of Heaney's attorneys, David Lane, says the husband and father of 3 was pressured into a plea deal because of his wife Mayumi's citizenship.
Richard Haney was coerced by unethical prosecutors into pleading guilty to a charge that was ridiculously overcharged because this was a high publicity case.
Heaney, who has been no stranger to the limelight since, is glad he and his family can finally move on.
We're in major panic mode, and it's going to be good to put this behind us.
Craig Nieto, News Nation.
And that would be the end, and they would put it all behind them, right? Except, you guessed it. Nope. That's not where it ends, because there's more! After receiving their pardon from the governor, Mayumi made a handwritten confession. Uh-oh. Recounting the days preceding the event. In them, she detailed the original plan was to have Falcon hide in the basement where the family would discover him and call off the search. However, Falcon instead hid in the attic above the garage, creating genuine confusion and genuine tearfulness at their reunion. So, there you have it. The truth of what, or as close as we'll probably get to it, of what happened that day, October 15, 2009, when Balloon Boy never took to the skies. But still, it's an interesting story, and I'm glad that you people have joined me on it. It's been a fun one. Until next time, eat your vegetables, get plenty of sleep, stay safe, and I know there's no way else to end this except with a timely tune from the Balloon Boys. So, to take us out, here's Falcon Heaney and the Balloon Boys. Guys, until next time, in the pursuit of truth, trust no one. I'm out. Good night.
Tribute all loving pain. You're the toxic coursing through my veins. You can destroy my pumping core.